mealtime on Millie again, and today we're eating in Washington. Headed up to Seattle. I got about 300 miles to go. Drop this and then I'll be headed back. We're having baked sage and chicken meatballs with Parmesan orzo. Sounds so good. I was a little lazy last night before I went to bed and didn't wash my dishes, so I gotta get that done before I can start cooking. So this load we're on, we've done a couple of times. I think we do it as a substitute driver for a regular driver that might be taking home time or something. But the last time we did it, they didn't want an empty. So when I got there, they were a little frustrated. They said they sent multiple messages saying only bobtail in, only bobtail in. So today we called earlier with the company to make sure we were supposed to take an empty or if we should bobtail in, and they said no, you always take an empty. So I drove in an hour early because I thought I'd grab some fuel before I got there, and the earlier we can pick up that load if it's ready, the less panic there is driving it up to Seattle because the window is so tight. Well, I stopped and got fuel, except for the fuel pump wouldn't take my card. So I went inside to get the cash register to set it up for me, and there was a line, and the lady was on the phone because her register was giving her problems, so I knew that was going to take way too long. So back to the truck, over to the yard to pick up the load, and as I'm waiting in the office, I see the sign, all drivers, bobtail only. So once the guy came up, I told him I have a trailer, but I can run it back to the terminal and drop it off if that's okay time-wise. And he asked how far it was, only 5 miles. So he said, yeah, go ahead. So I rushed back as safely as I could, dropped the trailer off at the terminal, and then turned around and headed back in bobtailing. Once I got there, he had taken my phone number so he could call me when the load was ready, and I just sat in the truck waiting. He didn't realize I had already gotten back, so about 20 minutes later I went in and checked in the office, and he's like, oh, I didn't know you were here. Yeah, your load's ready, go ahead. So instead of leaving a little bit early, I ended up leaving an hour late, which just made no breathing time whatsoever on this load in order to get it delivered on time. It was only a 3,000-pound load, so ridiculously light, and I quickly checked my weather to make sure there wasn't going to be any strong winds up in Wyoming, Utah, or Idaho, because that could be pretty treacherous with such a light load. Fortunately, the highest winds were 15 miles an hour in Oregon, so yay! Thank goodness for little miracles. I got us as far as Evanston, and then Mark took over and got us just over the Cabbage Hill, or Cabbage, whatever they call it. Stick around to the end of the video because we've got some time lapse going down that fun hill. Okay, 25 minutes later and the meatballs are ready. Now I can turn on my cooktop and get the rest of the dinner started. Really, you guys gotta enjoy the fact you can cook more than one thing at once at home. So this recipe called for fresh sage, and I'm sure it would have been so much better had I found any, but you have to make do with what you got. We just want to brown that sage up really good in the butter like I made with that brown butter pasta a week ago. It was so good, which is why I picked this recipe this week. A little more of a sage-based meal. Once the butter browns up nicely and the sage is browning, you can get all the rest of the delicious flavors added in and let them start sauteing up. This looks so good. I have never had this before. It's the first time, but I'm gonna say 75% of the recipes I make are always a first time. There's just so many good things to try. You never know what you're missing until you try it. I'm not really sure how much of this pasta to make. I don't know how much it cooks up. I don't make this very often, but you're gonna get that sauteing in there nice and toasted before we start adding our liquids a little at a time. It's kind of like making a risotto without the rice, using pasta instead, but I'm gonna have to bag that up. Mark will freak out if it spills all over the back of the truck when it falls out from hitting a bump or something. Oh, yeah, that would be a grumpy man. Sleeping in bed and covered in pasta. I would have teased him. At least he loves pasta. So fresh thyme was available, thank goodness, so only half of my recipe is not fresh. I'm going to tie this in a little bundle so I'll be able to pick it out later when it's all been seasoned deliciously. Let's see if I can find a nice long twig here to tie around it. I don't have any twine on the truck. Okay, this is looking good. So the recipe calls for chicken broth and white wine, but we're just going to use chicken broth instead. You can do it however your little taste buds desire, or what your job allows, you know. We do get called in every once in a while for random drug and alcohol tests, so don't want to have that phone call after making this meal. Once enough of the liquid is cooked into your pasta, you can add the cream, but we'll get that set up and ready to go. Pepper and salt it up to your taste buds desires. I like a little extra spice, so I'll add a little extra pepper for ours. Alright, another dash of broth. There we go, it's looking good. And oh my gosh, if you guys could smell this between the meatballs and the saute, the truck is just full of delicious smells right now. If you drove by, you would mistake us for a gourmet restaurant or something and not just a semi-truck. Alright, get everything put away here. I ordered when I was home some new little boxes for my spices, and they didn't get here, or they didn't get to the house until a day after we left. So next home time I'm gonna get my spices and sauces all organized nicer. Drive smart crazy, because about every 6 months I come up with a way that might work better, and I start rearranging everything into better locations. Then when he goes to look for something, he can't for the life of him find it. Oh, but look what I found here. It's leftover lunch while I was sleeping, and the little bit of pizza that didn't get eaten last night with the salad. Gonna find the trash somewhere. Okay, got our plates ready. I'm ready to eat, can you tell? Getting everything going as fast as I can. Just gotta cook down. Tick tock, tick tock. Okay, it's looking like it's cooked down enough. We can add the cream now. So get our cream going and a little Parmesan cheese. You can do that as much as you like or not. I'm gonna put a little bit in and then sprinkle a little on top right before serving it. There we go. Nice fresh bag of Parmesan. I have to admit, the pizza he got last night to go with the salad was really good. We'll have to remember that location to order from again if we're ever back in Denver and needing a meal. Oh crap, I should have removed this before adding the cream and cheese, but looks like it's coming out okay. Last night as I was driving into Seattle, I got to see a lot of the landscape that I don't normally see because I drive through the night, but the sun was up until easily 10:30 and it was still light out by 11, so I got to see some amazing landscapes I haven't got to enjoy for a while. Mark is very lucky driving during the day. I'm sure he sees some really amazing stuff. But I'm lucky, in the summertime I get to see the sunset and the sunrise, as well as the lighting up of everything beautifully in that lighting. Alright, got one more thing to add to this and then we're going to be ready to eat. Get my spinach cooked before it starts wilting on me. Looks like it's all, oh no, there's one leaf that was already going. See, only 4 days, and yeah, just so painful if you have to throw something away. The location we delivered at, we've been to multiple times from other loads as well, and it is a very small, tight yard with obstacles, and backing is always stressful. So I've been fretting about that a little bit all this trip. And Mark said if it gets too difficult, wake him up and he'll spot me. But I try not to wake him up if I can possibly help it, let him get a good night's sleep. So we'll see how it goes tonight. Fingers crossed the yard isn't too crowded and I can just slip that trailer right in. All right, let's give this a little stir and get this in the bowls. Get the heat off. There we go. A little for me, a little for Mark. Looks like we're gonna have way more meatballs than we need, but I'll give us both 3, and if he's still hungry later, if I want him to nibble on something in the middle of the night, I can grab a couple more. Then the meals I cook here is usually my breakfast / dinner, and then about 1 or 2 in the morning I get hungry again and finish whatever is left for my lunch / breakfast. And a lot of times eating it later is way more flavorful, so I recommend that. Let's start cooking dinner at noon and then eating it later. All right, here it is, cabbage. What you think?
Delicious.
Is it a keeper? Do we make it again?
Yes.
Okay.